Okay, we are back. We are doing Act 1, Scene 2. This time we are at Gloucester's Castle, and we are going to be talking about the relationship between the two boys, Edgar and Edmund. Now, Edgar is actually the older by a year. I picked the younger picture here because, like I said, evil ages him. And when you get to know Edgar, you'll see he's a little naive. Just a little bit. So, this scene is actually going to open with Edmund making a big speech complaining about how society doesn't treat bastards well. And society back then didn't. But if he's complaining that he doesn't inherit anything, that he doesn't get a title, that he doesn't get land, the fact is, even if he were a legitimate son and Gloucester's wife was his mother, Edgar is still the eldest. And in this society, as the older boy, Edgar would have inherited everything anyway. But in this play, nobody seems to really be following the rules of inheritance. So, for example, with King Lear, really, because he has no sons, it would go to son-in-laws. And because Goneril is his oldest daughter, that means the Duke of Albany should have inherited everything, and the kingdom should have been kept together. But Lear is ignoring the rules of inheritance, and basically what Edmund seems to be complaining about is the fact that because his father only sees him as a bastard, his father, Gloucester, won't break the rules of inheritance to give Edmund part of the king of his land. So he has a whole lot of hatred for his brother Edgar. And you would think Edgar would realize this, but not so much. So when we pick up on scene 2, Edmund is complaining and he is starting to plot for how he can convince his father to do the exact thing that Lear just did. And that is to get rid of his favorite child and instead leave his money and his wealth to someone else. In particular, he wants it for himself. So that's why I say Edmund looks a little older because evil has aged him. We ready to go? Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me, for that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of a brother? Why bastard? Why therefore base, when my dimensions are as well compact, my mind is generous, my shape is true, as honest madame's issue? Why brand they us with base, with baseness, bastardry, base, base? Who, in the lusty stealth of nature, take more composition and fierce quality than doth, within a dull, stale, tired bed, go to the creating a whole tribe of fops got twixt asleep and wake? Well then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. Fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards. So, whatever plot he has a letter in hand. And here comes his dad. Kent banished thus, and France in choler parted, and the king gone tonight, subscribed his power, confined to exhibition, all this done upon the gad. Edmund, how now? What news? So please your lordship, none. And he hides the letter. Why so earnestly seek you to put up that letter? I know no news, my lord. What paper were you reading? Nothing, my lord. No. What indeed, then, that terrible dispatch of it into your pocket? The quality of nothing hath not such need to hide itself. Come, let's see. Come, if it be nothing, I shall not need spectacles. I beseech you, sir, pardon me. It is a letter from my brother that I have not all overread, and for so much as I have perused, I find it not fit for your overlooking. Give me the letter. I shall offend either to detain or to give it. The contents, as in part I understand them, are to blame. Let's see. I hope for my brother's justification he wrote this but as an essay or a taste of my virtue. Gloucester is now reading the letter. This policy and reverence of age makes the world bitter to the best of our times, keeps our fortunes from us till our oldness cannot relish them. I begin to find an idle and fond bondage in the oppression of aged tyranny, who sways not as it hath power, but as it is suffered. Come to me, that of this I may speak more. If our father should sleep till I waked him, you should have half his revenue forever, and live in the beloved of your brother Edgar. Huh. Conspiracy. Sleep till I waked him. You should enjoy half his revenue. My son Edgar, had he a hand to write this, a heart and brain to breed in it? When came this to you? Who brought it? It was not brought me, my lord. There's the cunning of it. I found it in the casement of my closet. You know the character of it to be your brother's? If the matter were good, my lord, I'd just swear it were his, but in respect of that, I would fain think it were not. It is his. Oh, it is his hand, my lord, but I hope his heart is not in the contents. Hath he never heretofore sounded you in this business? Never, my lord, but I have heard him oft maintain it to be fit that sons at a perfect age and their fathers declining, the fathers should as ward to the son, and the son manage the revenue. Oh, villain! His very opinion in the letter, abhorred villain, unnatural, detested, brutish villain, worse than brutish. Go, sirrah, seek him, I'll apprehend him. Abominable villain, where is he? I do not well know, my lord, if it shall please you to suspend your indignation against my brother until you can derive from him better testimony of his intent. You shall run a certain course, where, if you violently proceed against him, mistaking his purpose, it would make a great gap in your honor, and shake in pieces and shake in pieces the heart of his obedience. I dare pawn down my life for him, that he hath wrote this to feel my affection to your honor, and no further pretense of danger. Think you so? If your honor judge it meet, I will place you where you shall hear us confer of this, and by auricular assurance have your satisfaction, and that without any further delay than this very evening. He cannot be such a monster, nor is not, I am sure. to his father that so tenderly and entirely loves him. Heaven and earth, Edmund, seek him out. Wind me into him, I pray you. Frame the business after your own wisdom. I would unstate myself to be in a due resolution. I will seek him, sir, presently. Convey the business as I shall find means, and acquaint you withal. These late eclipses in the sun and moon portend no good to us. Though the wisdom of nature can reason it thus and thus, yet nature finds itself scourged by the sequent effects. Love cools, friendship falls off, brothers divide, in cities mutinies, in countries discord, in palaces treason, and the bonds cracked twixt son and father. This villain of mine comes under the prediction. There's son against father. The king falls from bias of nature. There's father against child. We have seen the best of our time. Machinations, hollowness, treachery, and all ruinous disorders follow us disquietly to our graves. Find out this villain, Edmund. It shall lose thee nothing. Do it carefully. And the noble and true-hearted Kent banished. His offense? Honesty. 'Tis strange. And Dad is going away. Now, Dad just told us that there has been a portend, a prediction that there will be betrayals and breaking of family bonds. And so he says, whoa, father and son, it's not surprising that that bond would break. And it never occurs to him that the bond that is breaking is this one, possibly because he keeps pointing out that his son is a bastard and calling poor Edmund's mom a whore. That would probably break some bonds right there, but that doesn't occur to him. This is excellent foppery in the world, that when we are sick in fortune, often the surfeit of our own behavior, we make guilty of our disasters, the sun, the moon, and the stars, as if we were villains by necessity, fools by heavenly compulsion, knaves, thieves, and treacherers by spherical predominance, drunkards, liars, and adulterers by enforced obedience of the planetary influence, and all that we are evil in by a divine thrusting on, an admirable evasion of a whore-master man to lay his goatish disposition to the charge of a star. Calling his father a goat. A goat is a horned animal, so he's referring to his father as horny, and saying, how dare you blame sins on the planetary movements? So he's actually calling back the original sin is his father's for sleeping with his mother without marrying her. So he's pretty angry. Yep. My father compounded with my mother under the dragon's tail, and my nativity was under Ursa Major. So it follows I am rough and lecherous. Tut, I should have been that I am. I had the mainliest star in the firmament twinkling on my bastardization. Edgar. Here comes Edgar. And pat he comes, like the catastrophe of the old comedy. My cue is villainous melancholy, with a sigh like Tom o' Bedlam. Oh, these eclipses do portend these divisions. Fa, sol, la, mi. How now, brother Edmund, what serious contemplation are you in? I am thinking, brother, of a prediction I read this other day. What should follow these eclipses? Do you busy yourself about that? I promise you, the effects he writes of succeed unhappily, as of unnaturalness between the child and the parent, death, dearth, disillusions of ancient amenities, divisions in state, menaces and maledictions against king and noble, needless diffidences, banishments of friends, dissipation of cohorts, nuptial breaches, and I know not what. How long have you been a secretary of astronomical? Come, come. When saw you my father last? Why, the night gone by. Spake you with him? Aye, 2 hours together. Parted you in good terms? Found you no displeasure in him by word or countenance? None at all. Bethink you wherein you may have offended him, and at my entreaty forbear his presence till some little time hath qualified the heat of his displeasure, which at this instant so rageth in him that with the mischief of your person it would scarcely allay. Some villain hath done me wrong. Oh, sweetie, you're not that bright. Yes, some villain has. It's the one that's standing about 3 feet from you. Yeah, Shakespeare's characters, not always that smart. That's my fear. I pray you, have a continent forbearance, till the speed of his rage goes slower, and, as I say, retire with me to my lodging, from whence I will fitly bring you to hear my lord speak. Pray ye, go. There's my key. If you do stir abroad, go armed. Wow, he's really suggesting that Dad is not only pissed, but pissed enough to go after Edgar with a sword. So his solution is, you should arm yourself against our father. I assume you can see where this is going. Yeah. Armed, brother? Brother, I advise you to the best. Go armed. I am no honest man, if there be any good meaning towards you. I have told you what I have seen and heard, but faintly, nothing like the image and horror of it. Pray you, away! Shall I hear from you anon? I do serve you in this business. And there goes Edgar running. Poor little idiot. A credulous father and a brother noble, whose nature is so far from doing harms that he suspects none, on whose foolish honesty my practice is right easy. I see the business. Let me, if not by birth, have lands by wit. All with me's meet that I can fashion fit. And that is the end of scene 2. So we now have 2 families in complete disarray. Lear has turned out his favorite daughter and plans to live with the 2 daughters who are scheming against him. Gloucester immediately believed that his older son, who really seems to be a little naive, is plotting against him. Meanwhile, Edmund is playing like he's best friends with both sides, when really he's an expert backstabber. So we will find out who wins, who loses, who gets stabbed in the back, literally or figuratively. See you in a bit.